Dog fans, thank you for tuning in. This is episode 4 from the Tour's new Playbook series. The last 3 episodes were the Shula Splitbacks, Shula's Three-Headed Monster, Phins Gone Wild, Bring Back the Wildcat. This episode is called Tour's new Playbook, Alabama RPO Pistol. Y'all make sure to click the notification bell. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. For Tua, the RPO is nothing new to him. He was the best in the business in the NCAA ranks at Alabama, and so far has been the best RPO quarterback in the NFL. There's other quarterbacks in the league who do run the pistol. Herbert actually runs the pistol. Mahomes runs the pistol. We know Lamar Jackson runs the pistol. I can say he's in the top 5 as far as running those plays. And the RPO scheme is kind of a version of the read option, and you have what's called RPO pulls and RPO gives. RPO pulls and RPO gives. So most teams in the league, when they run the RPO play, they usually have a tendency to give the ball to the running back. But if you look at the stats from 2020 to 2001, we've led the league in RPO pulls. And that means that the quarterback is looking to throw the ball. And we lead the league by 18 dropbacks. And we were the first in yardage by a margin of over 200 yards from the rest of the league as far as production with RPO pulls. By almost every raw metric and statistic, we were the best RPO passing team in the league by far. And we used it differently than other teams. Our version was a little bit more deceptive, which I like. So, Tua was basically a magician using sleight of hand confusion, on the defense and making them react how he wanted to. And just firing from the pistol formation of Parker and Gesicki last year. I was just hoping that Albert Wilson and Jakeem Grant would have been burners for us last year. And they wasn't. Jakeem had drops, Albert had drops, but I would also say that, there may have been times where they were open and Tua just didn't find them, or he just didn't see him. He seen him late and had to check down, and that happens. Tua's young, and he just needs to get better at seeing the field, overall, and being decisive, pulling the trigger. That's what Dan Marino means when he says pick a guy and let it fly. The first read was to look downfield to Dupe or Clayton. If that wasn't open, there was a check and release system where his fullback and running backs out of those split back sets would release into the open field once they got their blocking assignments down. And Marino would find them and make plays. Those were basically like long handoffs to the running back, so he used the short yardage game as kind of like a run game within the passing scheme. And I feel like, you could do that in the RPO game, and that's what we basically did last year to make up for our sorry ass running game that we had, where we wasn't really breaking into the open field. So Flores and Godsey and Stutesville decided, okay, since the running game is not working, what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick passing game out of the RPO, but using the running game as a threat, that the defense has to respect. So they did a good job of adjusting to the fact that our running game wasn't working. But when you look at the average depth of target, of the 13 teams with at least 25 RPO pulls last season, we led the league in that as well, with an average depth of target of just under 5.5 yards, and that's almost a full yard ahead of second-ranked Buffalo Bills. So Josh Allen also runs, the RPO scheme, the read option scheme. And when you look at the routes that we ran out of the RPO formation, we ran a lot of slants. That made up like 29% of those plays. Fades, which made up 20%, and flat routes made up 18%, which was up, which was basically 2/3 of the RPO routes that wide receivers ran, but account for only 36% of the other 31 teams' routes run. We ran a lot of play action passes and a quick dink and dunk game, like I said, to make up for our sorry ass run game. And if the run game is working and we're able to get up to 4.2 yards per carry or 4.5, even 5 yards per carry, oh my God, then you'll be able to see us open up deep plays down the field out of the RPO. And we did some of that last year, just not enough to take Tua's yardage up to the 4,000, 5,000 yard mark. We got to start doing that this year. Stick with the dink and dunk game in the RPO, but obviously try to go deep down the field to Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson, Eric Nzukama, and Jalen Waddle. And I feel like he can do that. He could find Tyreek Hill a lot on yard after catch opportunities. And we were pretty much ranked dead last in yards per carry at 3.3 last year in the run game. And this tracks given that an offensive line is more likely to block up a downfield RPO concept like a quick game pass than a typical zone scheme to keep the quarterback protected. The top 5 teams that RPO gives, meaning handing the ball off to the running back in that formation, is Arizona, Kansas City, Washington, Green Bay, and Philadelphia. They all average 4 more yards per carry on these calls. And 4 of the 5 are gaining over a third of their yardage before contact. So the running back is barely even getting touched, at the first level. And he's able to, get 4 yards every time, a pop every time they run that play. And the similarity in production, in spite of the varying quality of running back and offensive line talent across those 5 teams, can also be explained in part by the average depth of target on the passes each quarterback does try out of that formation. Each of those 5 teams has an average depth of target less than 3 yards. 2 offenses are less than 1 yard, and only one, which the Chiefs, have attempted more than 50 RPO pulls out of those 5 teams. Wide receiver screens, often bubble screens, or they call them now routes, make up about 38% of the routes run for these 5 teams, which probably means that those teams are using the RPO. Basically, it's just an extension of the run game. It's just another play for them where the O-line can work downhill and explode at the first level, but they wasn't throwing a lot of slants and intermediate projectiles down the field like how Tua was. That's the difference. And as much as I came down on Eric Stewsville and Godsey for not improving our rushing game, I gotta give them major props for their work with implementing the Alabama RPO last year. And we ran it with different intentions than the other teams. And if we ran those same plays with Tyreek in the slot, running some of the concepts that Gesicki ran last year, because Gesicki caught a lot of passes where he had yard after catch opportunities, but he wasn't able to take it the distance. You put him, I'm not saying we shouldn't use Gesicki in the slot. I still want us to do that, but use Tyreek Hill and Eric in the slot more and run some of them same plays with those players. I think Chris Greer's done a great job of constructing a wide receiver room that's reminiscent, of what Tua had at Alabama, which I call them the 4 horsemen, or the fearsome 4 of Waddle, Smith, Ruggs, and Judy. Let's take a look at the pistol wide receivers that Bama had and compare them to what Mike McDaniel and Chris acquired this season. All right, so let's look at Waddle's size. He's 5'10", 182 pounds. And we pretty much already had a Penguin on this team. and he could just continue just being Waddle. I mean, you look at 2019 in Alabama, he averaged 17 yards per rec and was a yak sip out there, but Tua didn't really throw the ball to Waddle as much as the other starting wide receivers, and that's because he was too much. He was trying to go deep to Judy and Ruggs every chance he got, pretty much. But we drafted Waddle in the 6th round of the 2021 draft, and he's pretty much been everything that we thought and more. What the fans and scouts saw on his Crimson tape, he showcased with us. And, you know, he was a wreck machine last year, took his production to historic levels by breaking the NFL rookie rec record, and he did it against our rivals, the New England Patriots, in a win. And we beat them 33-24 when he collected his 102nd rec that game. First season, you know, and that's incredible to me, you know, and a lot of people don't want to give Tua credit for that. He pretty much got Jalen paid his first season, you know. Now his contract is going to look pretty good off of his production from his rookie year, and if he continue to do that this year, sky's the limit. Sky is the limit. I mean, you look at Jarvis Landry, it took him some time. You know, Jarvis had 112 catches in 2017 and 110 in 2015. Waddle finished with 104 his rookie year, and he quickly emerged as Tua's #1 target on our squad. I think that's going to change this season. I would be happy if he had 800 plus yards. He don't have to get 1,000, but if he did get 1,000, that'd be good. You look at Judy. Judy was 6'1", 193, and he was kind of the bigger of the Alabama receivers as far as overall stature. And he was the lead man for Tua at Alabama in 2018. I mean, he won the Biletnikoff Award. Well, he was a Biletnikoff Award recipient, I should say. But he was the leader of many categories at the time. And he was, like I said, he was Tua go-to guy. If Judy was to ever become available on the trade market or on the free agent list, we should definitely try to go after him. I feel like he'll be a perfect addition to this team. I think Waddle's pretty much filled that lead role so far. That's going to change this season. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is going to be the lead wide receiver in this bunch, but it'll be interesting to see what roles they end up playing now that we know that Tyreek is going to be the alpha. I think I can see Eric Nzukama playing this role, but not being a focal point. Obviously, you know, like I said, we're trying to get the ball to the cheetah as much as possible. You look at Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, he was 6'1", 175. Wasn't the biggest, you know, in stature at the receiver position. I mean, he was 3 inches shorter and 35 pounds lighter than Jones when he left school. He's not, like I said, he's not the fastest. Waddle and Ruggs actually have been timed at about 4.27 at the 40, and they pretty much did a race in 2019 on the Alabama indoor practice field to see who was the fastest, and, you know, Devontae couldn't catch up. But he can separate better than a lot of wide receivers in the league today because he just got great route running ability and he just knew how to social distance. I can see Cedric Wilson pretty much filling this role on this team. When you look at Ced, we signed him this spring to a 3-year deal worth $22.8 million with $12.75 million guaranteed. A smart team-friendly deal picked up for Mike McDaniel's offense. And he was the #3 receiver in Dallas last season with Gallup and Amari Cooper pretty much being the 1 and 2 punch. But he ended up with 45 reps, 602 yards, and 6 touchdowns, which is good for a slot position. I want to see him get that up to 800 with us. It'll be interesting to see how we use him this year. And obviously Henry Ruggs, who played from 2017 to 2019, obviously Tyreek is going to fill that role for us on this team. But Ruggs had back-to-back 700+ yard seasons, which is a great season depending on the role of the receiver. And Ruggs, you know, he was on a balanced team. Nick Saban loves to have a three-headed running back monster himself, and he creates this to pound the defense. So if Ruggs played at Texas Tech, he would have had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, I think. But he was used to decapitate the secondary, take the top off, and he was the fastest player on the field pretty much most Saturdays. And you know, too bad he had that accident to take him out of the league. You know, because I feel like he would have been as good as Tyreek Hill. Ruggs was the real deal for sure. But Tua was telling the media in camp that we finna yak the hell out of teams. A lot of their longest scoring plays came on passes from Tua throwing near the line of scrimmage or within about 10 yards with his receivers doing the rest of the work. I believe we can score a lot of points off of yards after a catch. And I hope that we use this playbook that Gossi and Stewsville ran last year. In addition to the shooter split back sets and the Wildcat, I fully expect us to run the inside zone with slants and quick screen RPO, the wide zone bubble RPO, the split zone bubble RPO, the dual bubble screen RPO, and the buck sweep bubble RPO. But y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think about the Alabama RPO pistol. I know some fans don't like it because they think it's a dink and dunk offense, but if your quarterback has quick on release, good anticipation and timing, drags, posts, and digs can turn into 7 every single time, guaranteed, especially if the running game is effective. But I want to know what y'all thoughts are. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Phins Up, TBFN.